I would like to take the time to teach you the right way to do yoga, because it makes a huge difference the way that you do something. It's not what you do, but it's how you do what you do. So I'm going to break down all the poses with particular awareness on the right alignment, what you should be feeling, safety precautions, so that yoga becomes right for you. I'm going to begin on our hands and knees with the basic spinal moves of cat and dog. So beginning with cat and dog, your hands should be directly underneath the shoulders and the fingers spread. So no crunching, really relaxing the hand so every knuckle's into the earth. Especially remember about putting a little weight between the index finger and your thumb. Hands are shoulder distance, so the wrists are right underneath your shoulders, knees are hip distance. As you exhale, use the abdominal muscles lifting in and up as you make your cat shape. Exhaling, gaze at your pubic bone. As you inhale, stretch out, feel the belly lift in and up. Stretch the crown of the head away from your tailbone and let them float up. Gaze to your third eye. Exhale, floating through. And inhale, extending up. The two areas that tend to get overworked is in your cat pose. Many people really overwork the upper back and hunch the upper back, squeeze the shoulders, kind of looks like this instead of wide open. So really soften that part when you come into your cat stretch. That's why I like to lift from the middle of the belly. And the pubic bone does curl forward. And when you inhale out, inhale into your dog, often people sag in the lower back. They think they get a bigger arch. In fact, you're compressing the spine area here. So you want to pull the heart forward and lift and lengthen. So it feels like a stretch in both directions. And inhale, lifting up. For child's pose, you release the sits bones down to the earth and soften. If your forehead doesn't touch the ground, take a fist or two so you can get nice and grounded and really just relax. And this is a beautiful way to release your lower back. When lying on your belly, there's basically three poses that can be chosen when you come into an extension of your spine. The first one is your Sphinx pose. So what you would do is come on down onto your belly. The elbows will go directly underneath your shoulders. And I always like to measure and make sure the fingers wrap around the elbows. The arms come out, the palms to the earth. And what you want to do is stretch the legs long. So really kind of lengthen those legs. And the tops of the feet and toes are to the ground. So not curling the feet under, but actually stretching and lengthening the legs. Try to lie the tops of your feet to the ground. And instead of sagging in your belly and let your belly hang out, there's a gentle lifting of the belly in and up. And instead of just coming up with your neck, use your heart center to go forward. Inhaling, kind of drag the elbows towards your hips, and you stretch out the spine. So in fact, I'm getting great space between all my vertebrae here. Lengthen and pull out. It should feel nice. And breathe. A good test is if you can't breathe, nice 3 gentle breaths, you're out of alignment. So nice breathing. Inhaling and exhaling. Just feel the abdominal muscles lengthen. Toes connect. And then you can gently, when you come down, always stretch the heart forward so you get the spine nice and long. Moving into Cobra, the hands now come back next to your chest. I always like to loosen up the shoulders first by just floating them around. So not using muscles, but really just floating the shoulders up and back. And then we roll the shoulders up and back, the elbows come to the side body. The reason the elbows come to the side body is if you splay them out, if you watch my shoulders, they will go forward. When you come up like that, it feels quite awful into your shoulders and neck. So we always want to create space. Shoulders roll up and back, elbows the side body, actually squeezing the shoulder blades together, long legs. And then again, it's the heart coming forward. Pull the heart forward. Stretch it towards the front of your mat and then float up. Toes connect to the ground. It should feel good. You should be able to take 3 breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Gaze to your third eye. Breathing. And again, when you come down, lengthen and go back down. This is a pose that I would venture to guess is done incorrectly 85% of the time. What most people like to do is just come up. They think they're up higher. What you're doing here is totally compressing the vertebrae in your lower back. It will feel awful. So really, instead of coming up high, pull the heart forward. Stretch out the lower back, pull the heart forward so it feels lovely. And then you can release it back down. Up dog is the more advanced version of your Cobra. With that, you lift your thighs up. So you're starting your Cobra. Shoulders up and back, elbows face to the side body. Inhale, lead with the heart forward. And notice very delicately, I lift my knees and thighs off, lengthen the arms, and go deeper. From here, we often lift up into downward dog. Lift the hips up and back. So the work here, I like to start from a table position to teach it. To really integrate the arms into the socket, smooth out the upper back, lift belly in and up. So really keeping the shoulders in the socket, curl the toes under, and just imagine as you start lifting up, the crease of your hip is hanging over a clothesline, and that clothesline lifts you up, 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 and back, 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 back. So you get nice space and a nice long spine. Make sure you breathe. Don't worry about the legs becoming straight. As you become more flexible, yes, the hips can lift, the femur bones can float back, and eventually you can start stretching the heels down towards the ground. But for those that are newer, take the feet even a little bit wider, soften the knees. And instead of hanging forward, that's the tendency. This is too much work. Soften, connect shoulders, lift the hips up and back, and just feel that spine get long, stretching out. And then just release back into your child's pose to soften. Either here, here, here. I'd like to talk to you just a little bit actually about finding length in your spine when you sit. And that takes us into some of the core work that we do in yoga, things like boat, navasana, and some other poses. Even in our standing poses, you are working the abdominal muscles. Every time you lengthen the spine and feel the abdominal muscles lift in and up, you are actually strengthening all the vertebra in your spine. You know, people with lower back issues often have weak core. So the two work together. To begin, I like to let people find a comfortable place to sit, but do align your legs. It might be more comfortable to let your heels rest. Some people may find it more comfortable let your feet be down, but straight feet. Knees hip distance, here's my hips, knees, center of my feet. Align the body. And I first like to just feel the spine, so I tell people kind of sag and do the opposite. And just a little cheating, bring your fingertips next to your hips and sit tall. So what you're doing is getting more space from my pubic bone to the crown of my head, lengthening up. The abdominal muscles need to lift in and up to support this length. And just breathe, inhaling and exhaling. Try to keep the face soft, sternum wide. You can even let your hands rest here. And just see if you can keep that lifting of the spine, inhaling and exhaling. And I recommend that you learn to be comfortable in just sitting tall for at least 30 seconds before you move on to the various stages of your navasana. So the way I teach it is I feel the nice lift into your spine, breathe with it, like you're standing on the sits bones with a long spine, tall spine. Just begin to tilt, let your feet come off the ground. Now be careful here, you don't sag in that lower belly and round the upper back. If you do that, you're just not ready for it yet. Work stage by stage. Sit nice and tall, lengthen. See if you can balance on the sits bones, let your feet come off the ground. Next stage is shins parallel with the floor. A lot of focus, gaze at your big toes. Breathe. If you can, release one hand and the other. And again, keep the sternum wide, not rounding and hunching. Lifting the heart, opening this, and breathe. Inhale and exhaling. For those who are more advanced and comfortable, you can lengthen the legs. Lift out through the soles of the feet so the legs get nice and long, and breathe. Inhaling, can even spread your toes. And exhaling. One more breath. And then just relax. The reason I talk about breathing is it's really true yoga. Without the breathing, the body tenses up easily. You have no peace in your mind. So just listen to what we call Ujjayi breathing, ocean sounding breath. And let your breath relax the body so that you have the stamina and actually revitalized energy to stay into the pose freely. It's like every new moment, every moment's new. And keep that energy alive in the peace. I'm going to show you bridge. It's a very lovely pose. It starts strengthening all of your spine and creates a little more movement into your spine as well. So feet hip distance and straight, and then we're going to gently lie down. And I always like to take the time to see where I'm lying. So try not to let the crown of your head tilt down towards the ground where your chin sticks up. But really the neck is long, so it's the base of the skull to the ground. And I try to let the shoulder tips roll down instead of kind of letting them lift up and being tense here. Just relax them down. Bring the feet as close as you can to your buttocks, letting the feet be straight and again grounded, pressing down into the earth. Femur bones stay straight. So just like a bridge, you want both sides of your bridge to be parallel so you have a nice, strong, balanced bridge. So what you can do here is just relax, take a breath, and as you're ready, begin to let your hips lift up. Breathing, inhaling. So it's not all at once. Exhale, go a little bit more. Inhaling. Exhale, let those hips lift up, up, up with freedom. If it's comfortable, you can walk the shoulders underneath themselves, which opens up the shoulders. Interlace your hands, press the hands down to the ground, the arms down to the ground to use more power to build that bridge higher. Smooth breathing, lift up, up, up. Face is soft, base of the skull to the ground. And then very gently, when you come down, you can stay as long as what's comfortable. Let your arms get out of the way and gently roll down. Often from here, we go into what we call bound angle pose, Supta Baddha Konasana, lying bound angle pose. The soles of your feet to come together. They come close to your groin, and just let the thighs open out and just relax here. You can stay here as long as what's comfortable. Almost feeling like there's two heavy bags of sand pressing those thighs down so you open up. And it's nice to do 3 bridges if that's comfortable for you. A nice way to release your lower back is to simply hug your knees in. Now, when you hug the knees in, you want to try to let the sacrum melt down to the ground. So rather than rolling up and kind of straining that back, let the lower part of your spine, sacrum, melt to the ground and simply hinge at the crease of your hips and let your thighs come in. Keep the back of your neck long. Going into happy baby pose, the thighs open out. The feet now stick up to the ground. If you can hold the tops of your feet without really reaching and working the upper back, super, reach the tops of your feet. Otherwise, you can hold your shins and gently pull the knees down. Try to keep the inside soles of your feet down, parallel and the sacrum melting down to the ground. So you just open up the hips and breathe, inhaling and exhaling. It's a nice release for your lower back. Again, instead of rolling that pelvis up, let the sacrum melt down and just ease in. And you might want to play, stretch one leg out, pull the toe down, and go to the other side. Whatever we do in yoga, we do both sides. And then you can release down. Shavasana is our lying meditation. The most important thing is to plop down, let the legs turn out, let everything just sort of flop down and melt. Peaceful breathing. And I have some videos that will talk you through a nice, relaxing Shavasana meditation, as well as a sitting meditation. So thank you very much for taking the time to put a little deeper study into your yoga. Take the time to practice the key pointers that I just shared with you, and you will have a healthier yoga practice.